I don't want, you know, if you love music, pursue it, and realize that there's, you know, of course, there's nothing new. If you really want to, if you really are enthusiastic and really want to learn about this music, really check out the history of it. Right. And, you know, it's amazing when you finally hear Baby Dodds or Paul Barber or Zooty Singleton, to say nothing of Chick Webb and, you know,
how hip it is.
Yeah, and you know, Gene Krupa, how melodic Gene Krupa was, Davy Tuff. I mean, you know, guys that were melodies, you know, great melody players, and you know, it's just beautiful to hear these guys and say, wow, these guys were thinking and hearing and feeling and creating on this level back then. Yeah. It's really a nice brotherhood, a nice family to come from.
I think you can teach anyone the technique of anything, but you can't teach them to love it.
Right.
And the love part is what, and as Joe Jones says about, especially about jazz, he said jazz is special. He said everybody can't play it. Yeah. And that's true. I know guys, and you do too probably, got know more music than you can ever expect to know. Yeah. But when you put on the band side start playing jazz, it happens, it'll happen, you know. Yeah. You know, the guys, especially with drummers, they always want this fast hands and all that stuff, you know. Say fast hands don't play jazz. That's what the hands are not playing the jazz, and your heart's playing the jazz. Yeah. You know, and all that other stuff, like Kenny, everybody that knows who plays the drums, and I ask some of these young drummers now, and they don't even know what we're talking about. I say Kenny Clark, man, that thing he had was just like,
you can't
I was always
describe
interested in the drums, and finally, when I broke my father's heart, he bought me a new violin at Christmas, and I didn't want to play. I said, no, I don't want to do it anymore. He said, I'll never spend another cent on your lesson. So I got my own thing going. I started selling Christmas cards and everything else. I got my first snare drum and started studying with a man like Joe Sefcik, and he was a vaudeville drummer, excellent drummer. He taught me how to read, because I didn't read all these years. And that's how it started. I studied there in Springfield. I was playing in a lot of hotels and things like that when I was about 14, and I shouldn't have even been there, you know. In some places, like the Bucket of Blood, there was fights all night, you know, it was crazy things. And this is how I always went to Lawrence Stone after that, and the drums became very easy for me, you know. I became Stone's best student and all that, and then Billy Gladstone, Radio City Music Hall. And those teachers were never, Joe Sefcik was the only one that could play the traps, and with the hats and the cymbals, but Stone was our orchestral drummer, and so was Billy. You know, and you could drop those guys off a building, they'd never swing, they'd just go down straight. You know? But I wanted to learn how to play the drum, not just to you know, bang around. So that's just little by little. And that Stone even told me, he said, you shouldn't. I wanted to be a classical player. You know, I wanted to be in an orchestra. You know, symphony orchestra. You count 97,000 bars and go home. You know, with the tuxedo and everything. I thought that was class in those days. And then Stone introduced me to Gene Krupa and people like this, and started listening to that. And then I heard like Max Roach in those days, and Buwana. That was the play.
Charlie, what originally inspired you to become a musician?
Women.
That's a great answer.
No, seriously. When I say that, I don't necessarily mean that in a lascivious manner, although it can get that way. But like I said, women, I showed like a desire to want to play the drums when I was like 3 or 4 years old. So I used to beat on my mom's pots and pans, which I think most of us did when we were kids, you know. And much to the chagrin of my mom. And my father always thought it was fun, so Mom and Dad ended up having an argument about my drumming. So my cousin, she's a little older than I am, she, for my Christmas present, for my 4-year-old Christmas present, she bought me a tin drum. And I started playing the tin drum, and, you know, and at that time, you know, there was no way, this was long before television, and we didn't see that much in the movies of bands. But you know, so my dad used to take me to see the parade. So that was the drumming that I saw at that time, was marching band drumming. So I would come home and I would learn how to play those little, you know, I would just start trying to play those things on my little tin drum. And I watched the drummers in the parade, and so I held the sticks the same way. I didn't know there was such a thing as left-handed or right-handed. So, and that's why I play, to this day, I play like a right-handed drummer if I'm playing traditional, the traditional grip. So, and that's what did it. I got involved with playing that. And then my father saw that he really felt that I kind of had affinity for the instrument. So he bought me actually a parade drum. And I was like about 7, I guess, like that. So I used to take my drum out and march around the neighborhood playing my drum. And there used to be a pool hall down the corner. And I used to go down there, and the guys, I didn't plan on this, but they used to throw money on the drum. So I used to come home. My dad said, "Get back down there to the pool hall, man. Get some more of that money."
Yes, so I would hope that you go to listen to each other. Go to each other's jobs and listen to one another, because each one of us plays something that he can't play. Right. So you want to go and figure out how he figured that out, and you have something he should be able to figure out. So you're passing to each other. You know, that's how we grew up. We grew up listening to one another, and we competed, but it was love. We competed with love, you know. And we loved to hear another person come in town because we knew he was going to be playing something totally different than all of us were playing.